friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams yet again today. How are you holding up? How is your heart? How is your mind? How is your spirit doing these days? I hope that you are doing well. I am here today to talk to you about the books that I plan on reading in the month of April. And I'm doing something a little different this month. I am giving myself a very small TBR because I just feel like sometimes I miss out on what I really want to read in the moment because I'm following what I've put on my TBR. So I might see a post on Instagram or read a comment from one of you guys that talks about a book and I'm like, oh, I really want to read that, but I have all these other things I need to read. So I'm minimizing my TBR for the next month, maybe beyond, in order to give myself room to mood read or just pick up what I want when I want to, possibly do a couple projects that I've been thinking about with my TBR cart or whatever. So I have 6 books to talk to you about today, but really only 2 that I'm definitely going to read, and I'll explain that in a moment. So first of all, for Lord of the Readalong, we are going to be starting 2 Towers in April, and we're going to be spreading this out over the months of April and May. So really, I only have to read half of this one in April. This one feels a little smaller than the first one did, Fellowship of the Ring. So hopefully I will enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed The Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring. And this just continues Frodo's adventure. He and Sam try to get rid of the ring. So I feel like I'm a little nervous about this one. I feel like it's going to be a little more intense and deal with some evilness and I'm not really looking forward to that, but I am looking forward to reading this series finally. If you're interested in joining us for Lord of the Readalong, I will put a link to the Goodreads group down below. We don't really have deadlines for things, for discussions. We're kind of setting it up by pages so you can join in whenever you get to that point, so it's never too late to join in. Hope that you do. So that's book 1. The next book I am reading for my Goodreads read-along group, and that is A Place for Us by Fatima Farheen Mirza. I have heard so much praise for this book, and I'm thrilled to finally be reading it, and I convinced my In Real Life book club to read this one. I'm not sure that my In Real Life book club is actually going to be meeting for the foreseeable future, but we're going to be reading this book. And this is a family saga, I believe, about an Indian Muslim family living in America. And I recently heard a couple people say that it is cry-worthy at the end, so grab the tissues towards the end. I'm very excited about that. I love it when an author can make me feel so connected to the characters that I feel all their emotions, and so I'm looking forward to this one and finally seeing what I think, because I've just heard so much praise for it. Really, really looking forward to that. If you're interested in joining in for April in the Goodreads read-along group, again, the link for that will be down in the description. So those are the only 2 that I'm like most definitely going to read. But also this year I'm doing a project called the TBR Unhaul Project, where I took a look at my TBRs from 2017 and 2018, the first 2 full years that I was on BookTube. And if there were any books on my TBR for that month, so for April, in 2017 and 2018, then I have to read it during this month, 2020, April, or I have to unhaul it. Now, I didn't do this in March because in 2018 is when we started middle grade March. I didn't have any from 2018, but I did have some from 2017 March, but because I was focusing mostly on middle grade in March, I didn't do my TBR unhaul project. So from March in 2017, I have 2 books. Perfect Little World by Kevin Wilson. This was a Book of the Month Club pick in February of 2017, so I wanted to read it right away. And I believe this is kind of a psychological, maybe a thriller, or like, I don't know, it deals with psychology. Dr. Grind, an awkwardly charming child psychologist, has spent his life studying family even after tragedy struck his own. Now, with the help of an eccentric billionaire, he has the chance to create a perfect little world to study what would happen when 10 children are raised collectively without knowing who their biological parents are. He calls it the Infinite Family Project, and he wants Izzy and her son to join in. It just sounds super interesting to me, and I may pick this one up in April, but if I don't, it needs to leave my shelves. So we'll see if I get to that one. And also in 2017, I actually started this one, but I never read it. And this has been on, I'm taking that actually out because it's been so long. This has been on TBRs a few times since then, but this is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. And this is another story set in the South during slavery, during the time of the Underground Railroad. However, the Underground Railroad is an actual railroad. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I've heard so much praise for Colson Whitehead and for this book in particular. So I am hoping to pick this one up in April because I don't really want to let it leave my shelves. So we'll see. I do have one save, which I didn't give myself in February because I only had 2 books to read. But now that there's 4, I might. But then in April of 2017 and 2018, I have these 2 books. This one is a middle grade Chronicle, or maybe YA, Chronicle of the Three Bloodline by Tabitha Kaplinger. Tabitha had a YouTube channel for a hot minute back in the day. This is a Christian fiction. I think it's YA, I want to say. I'm not really sure. I won this in a giveaway that she did on her channel or on her YouTube or Facebook or something. I don't know where she did it, but I won the giveaway from her and she sent me this one and the second one. So I'd like to read it. I like to read books that were sent to me, so maybe I'll get to that one. It is a fantasy. I don't know if I said that. And it has a tree on the cover. I love trees on the cover of books. Very cool. And the final book that was for my TBR unhaul project is Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy by Abigail Reynolds. This also has been on multiple TBRs over the last few years. So I believe this one is a reimagining of Pride and Prejudice, as if Lizzie said yes to Mr. Darcy, if circumstances surrounding that situation caused her to say yes to Mr. Darcy the first time he proposes to her. We know in Pride and Prejudice that she refuses him when he proposes for the first time, but what if she said yes? How would that affect their lives? So this kind of takes that spin on the classic Pride and Prejudice and runs with it. So I feel like this could be a really fun read. I don't know how I'll feel about that because I'm such a fan of Pride and Prejudice, but I do love books that are inspired by it, and I feel like that's a little creative twist. So we'll see if I get to that one. But other than that, guys, I am not picking any books for my TBR. I'm just gonna read for the fun of it and see where it takes me. I have a whole cart set aside of books that were recommended to me by you guys here. Here are some of them. So I have this whole cart of books that you guys recommended to me. I may choose from these. I'm also working on reading sequels this year. My hope is to read 20 sequels in 2020. So I have those out on the shelf in the other room. But I also have a ton of middle grade that I still want to get to that I just didn't have time for in the month of March. So we'll see where the mood takes me during the month. But here are the 2 and then the possible 4 books that I might read in the month of April. I guess you're gonna have to wait and see. I would love to hear from you down below. Have you read any of these books that I talked about today? Or do you have something else you're like really eager for me to read? Or what are you excited to read in the month of April? Or anything else? You guys know I love talking with you down in the comments. So let's chat down there, and I will be talking to you in another video very soon. Bye.